So what happened to the path? Well, it was a footpath. And coming across Ashford and Eastford, it was a footpath. And if you walk the sections that I've been able to find today, you'd say, pretty nice walking path. Wouldn't want to try and drive over it. Wouldn't want to try and move a wagon over it because there are parts of it that are just too difficult. So other ways came into vogue. We had the Middle Post Road, which you also have a nice chunk of down here. 2 miles or so, going up to the Bigelow River. If you go down there, it really is a river. That came in really into prominence after King Philip's War. The Connecticut Path, well, they did continue to come down through Woodstock, but they changed the route towards what I think happened is they just said, for wagons it'd be a whole lot easier to go down what we know now as Old Colony Road, and come on down here and you join in with the Middle Post Road, which also joined with that road that my other ancestor, Nathaniel Woodward, walked on in 1642 coming up from Providence. We now know as Route 44 and 101 that comes up. They all merge down just a little below here. And as wagon roads, and then later as highways, they work really well. And part of what makes them work really well is that they could build bridges across the rivers like the Bigelow Brook, which is really a river. So they didn't have to wade across. And the last piece, you have another piece of up north here of, up in, is it North Ashford? Which is in Eastford, which confuses me. Probably confuses them, but you have the Center Turnpike that came in just after the 1800. So that whole area, let's see if this will work. Yeah. This area in between is where that old path was, and it's been bypassed. The roads for wagons and now cars, they're better off down the valley. But we have a path, and they certainly would likely have been paths in those early years, but we have something left that's a path that's been forgotten and left for us to rediscover. So it isn't there, and some of the historians would say, you know what, it was never really there. But I have to think, going back and looking at the history of the people that traveled and the stories that people tell now even, I hear, yeah, you know, I was told when I moved here that this was the place where the path came through. The stories are so strong, they still remain, that I truly do believe that it still lives. And in our country, you know, we're a secular country. But there are places that we really look at as being sacred, as important. And that Plymouth Rock, you've all been to Plymouth Rock. I don't have to do a show of hands. And you know the tour buses show up? Let me see how many of you really believe the Mayflower lined up and everybody stepped out right on time. But it's still an important place for us to observe in our heritage. Lexington and Concord, well, we have a statue right there on the green in Lexington, and certainly there was a historic moment there. And again, we come to observe that as part of our heritage. I hope after tonight you'll leave here and say, but that was where it all began. We know where it began. And going back to Pine Hill, that stretch that was described as the route that Thomas Hooker and his congregation passed, that hill that they camped on. You can, it's hard to find, it's up there though. You walk it, and it feels like a place that you're entering another century or a couple centuries back, that you're walking in a quiet place in time that's part of a tradition and a heritage that we can preserve. The story Charles Chisholm told of this before I wrap here is that there was a place across their farm that had never been plowed, where the path crossed. And I truly believe between those walls is that place. There are places in the woods that are part of our heritage that we all share whether your families came down the Connecticut Path or they came much later at the call of the American story. And there are places that are part of your local history, and if you go up on Walker Road, that you can experience something that's very special. It's been a wonderful audience on a Wednesday evening. So thank you for your attention tonight. For more information, visit the Old Connecticut Path website